My name's Richie Floyd. I'm running for District 8 City Council in St. Petersburg. I'm a educator and activist, former engineer, and I'm running, what I'd like to say is a progressive campaign for city council. It's a really interesting idea. This is my first time hearing of it, specifically for artists, although I do think basic income can be a valuable tool when done right, as long as it's redistributing wealth and it's not taking place of our existing social safety net. I do think that it could be a beneficial supplement to a social safety net. In the Grand Central District, here we have some art studios and rents have been rising rapidly. Every time a building gets sold, people get displaced. And so artists have had a hard time with that. And so it's a really interesting way to sort of bring stability to people's lives. And that's sort of what the campaign's been about so far for me is how can we make working people's lives better? And I think, when it comes to art, like it's a vibrant part of our city. It's an important part of our city. And so definitely should be viewed as a public good and, make sure that we're investing in it. So that way it's not, just art for those who can afford it, but art for everyone, and everyone who wants to get involved in it has that opportunity. Just through what I've been working on in the campaign, housing was the top priority. I think one of the next ones was, affording space. And those are two, it's the same issue. It's, how much does it cost to have space to live your life and promote your work? One of the ideas I've been talking about a lot is expanding and improving like the community land trust in the city. And that's not just for housing. That can be for, businesses that we determine are a public good, and we need to make sure that we aren't pricing them out. And that's really common. Our local businesses and our art galleries and our art businesses are being priced out as well. And so if we could expand community land trust to make it to where we take certain pieces of land out of the market so that way they're permanently affordable, we can start to invest those pieces of land back into our community for, the working people that need it, the businesses that need it, the businesses that really make our city unique and what it is. And I think arts lines up with that really well. And so that's where I would come from, because I do think it's a solution that helps, a lot of people. And I think artists would be, somebody who could plug right into that. The plight of a working person is what this campaign's about. So I may not have like the unique experience that an artist does, but I hope to be able to empathize with them and absolutely listen to the concerns. Our state has merged with the real estate sector, and this is nothing new for Florida. It's nothing new for St. Petersburg. There's actually a long history of urban planning in St. Pete. And I think it goes hand in hand with this sort of idea. It's like, who has our government been serving? Has it been serving like working people, or has it been serving the people who have traditionally run the state of Florida, which is like the people who are marketing the state of Florida to sell land to people from outside the state? And that's a very common thread within our state's history. I guess what I'm getting at is my involvement as an activist has led me to some of these ideas, and I'm still an activist today. And when I say we talk to people, we don't talk at people, like we listen to people when we go to the doors. And so that's a big reason why housing is the first issue that comes up when I talk about the campaign, is because it's the first issue that comes up when we go talk to people at their house and ask them what they care about in the city. I'm here to make sure that, working people have roofs over their heads. Like that's the people that I'm trying to represent. And there's no financial incentive for me from people who serve a profit off of exploiting the situation when it comes to housing here. As a teacher, we need funding for things in our classroom, and everybody's like, oh, fill out these grant proposals. And I'm like, I have to spend countless 50, 60 hours a week teaching in the classroom and planning. And now you want more labor on top of that so that I can actually continue to do my job? Okay. It just boils down to another sort of means testing, like when we have welfare programs and we say, okay, well, this welfare program goes for everybody under this income threshold who met these minimum qualifications. And then all of a sudden what that does is it just cuts out a bunch of people that could benefit from the program, because a bunch of people are going to be like, oh my God, I have to figure out how to provide my taxes, have to figure out how to fill out these papers while I'm working, while I'm taking care of my family. And it ends up being to where the services just aren't given to the people who need them most. This is exactly how our unemployment system is designed in this state. It's designed so that you go to sign up for unemployment and it's overwhelmingly difficult and it's impossible, so that you don't apply, so that we don't have to pay you what is owed to you. Yes, I despise all programs like that. I mean, I think that they're just a way to keep people from using the program. I'm like a gung-ho proponent of a lot of the universal services that protective activists have been organizing for, things like Medicare for all, where it's like you show up, you get healthcare for free. That's the way the world should work. And, it shouldn't have to be a bunch of red tape in your way. I definitely am sympathetic to ideas that make it easier for people to access services, because I think it's far too difficult right now. And I think one of the things I hope to work on is, at the very least, streamlining some of these application processes, or at least where you can get the information, get it very easily, and have like assistance for you. But it's interesting how much all of this sort of relates back to just the plight of working people in the city. And it's like, part of what I'm trying to accomplish on the campaign, and part of the way I think about things, is by centering the people who do the labor in the city that makes this city what it is. And so I think that directly applies here, is that it's not just the people who run the city, it's the people who make our city great. And I think that's what the artists are. And I think that goes along, there's people who pick up our trash. There's people who make sure our utilities are running smoothly. There's people who do all these minute details that make sure our city continues to function and make sure our city continues to be a great place to live. And that's what artists are as well, is they've made our city a great place to live. And so I really hope to be able to be an advocate for making sure that people know how much labor you're putting in, and value that labor to its full extent, and make sure that you get all of the value that you create for the city, instead of, it just going to the people that, serve to profit off your labor like any other workers. And my approach to funding arts would be not just funding this or that mural, but trying to make sure that people who are doing this work can feed their families, trying to make sure that this work is accessible to regular people and not just those who have the leisure time and the wealth to be able to participate. It's nice to know a little bit more about what artists are thinking in the city, and to see that the struggles of working people are the struggles of working people. There might be things that are unique to artists. I mean, they're in a unique situation because they're a huge reason why the city's in the position that it's in today, and a very visible reason why the city's in the position that it's in today. And so it does make it a unique in that respect. But, we all need to have a house to live that's decent and safe. And we all need to put food on our table and provide for our families. And so I think it kind of boils down back to that. And I mean, that's what I'm really hoping to work on, is, make this a place where it's easier for people to live, and people actually, thrive and are successful, and not just getting by. When I think about good ideas, and this is the same thing, like when I think about basic income in general, it's like, okay, this seems like a good idea. You've got the research and the knowledge to say this is a good idea. Is that, how do we make things happen? Because too often good ideas fall by the wayside constantly. There's plenty of good ideas, and our government doesn't seem to be responsive to good ideas, but it is responsive to organizing. It's responsive to organizing people and advocacy. And so I think that's what's going to be most important here, because, this does come across as a good idea.